Hey everybody, the Bust Expedition Trial number 242. Getting real close to that 250 milestone. But we'll get there, we'll get there. Take a couple weeks. Let's get to it, let's see what happens here. It's an interesting little set. It's like every time I see Vi, I want to give it a try. But these cards are always just so bad. Boom Crew Rookie's terrible. Shitty Character's terrible. It's a real struggle to find these pulls that I want to play with Vi. So we'll let that one go. With this set, we're going to be taking the Tryndamere. He's a pretty reasonable champion. There's not a whole lot of build around going on with him, but these are some really high quality Freljord cards to be starting with. Just Omen Hawk, one of the best ones in the game, and then Brittle Steel, a great little combat trick that plays well in a variety of decks. And so this is okay. It's a fairly weak Callista. I typically, try to direct you to where to go if you want to just go for 7. Callista is always a very reasonable to do it. She's one of our tier 1 champions, but this is a pretty weak set of cards with Callista, and so that's kind of the problem with this Afterlife card pool. It's got a lot of bloat in it and not a whole lot of direction, but still extremely powerful. Nonetheless, we're going to be taking this Tryndamere. Let's take a moment and get him pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar with it, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep my collection of all my expedition-related content. We're just going to be on over here on the Expedition Helper section. That's the main page, if that's all you go to. And then we'll go down to the little drop-down, scroll all the way down to Tryndamere, and these are all the people and all the cards and all the things that live in this card pool. And so it's, not like a super interesting card pool. It's kind of got two things going for it. Number one, it's got a lot of, really good early game as far as Freljord is concerned. It doesn't have the Yeti package, which is typically pretty good, but it's got the Omen Hawk Lonely Poro in the 1s, the Trapper and the Sentry in the 2s. And so, it can pretty reasonably stall out any kind of early game. One of the problems we run into with Freljord is most of the card pools just have a lot of the big end, right? They have the the ancient Yetis and the 5 and 6 and the 7 cost overwhelms and everything, but they don't have much early game. A lot of them just tend to have like one Frostbite Archer, or they'll have one Avarosian Sentry and not much else. And so the early game here is really good. And then kind of the idea with this card pool is you're playing all of this early game. You're just kind of stalling things out until you're either able to play a really big They Who Endure because you've had all these units die, or you've just kind of stalled out to Tryndamere. It's a pretty reasonable strategy. It doesn't take a whole lot to put together. The kind of thing number 2 going with this, that's not really a build around theme. Just kind of play units, have them die, stall out until you can play a They Who Endure, Pack Mentality, whatever. The thing that this kind of has going for it is building towards Yetis, which I wholeheartedly do not recommend taking the deep dive into. Yeti Yearling is okay. I mark Yeti Yearling as an X in here because I don't want you to feel like you should be going out of your way to pursue these, and I don't want you to think you should be going out of your way to pursue Yetis. Yetis are not very good here, and we will take Yeti Yearlings, but it's right on the edge of cards I'm happy to have in here. I really don't want it unless we have other Yeti combos. But this is here. I recommend staying away from the Yearling, staying away from the Tall Tales, and then just playing our kind of good value units in the Trapper. And then if we do manage to pick up some Ancient Yetis as far as the top end of our deck goes, then that's fine. But trying to go all in on Tall Tales is just not something I can recommend. This is not a particularly good strategy. So yeah, it's a pretty reasonable set of Freljord cards. As typical with Freljord, it doesn't have any removal in it, and it also doesn't have any interaction. And so, the only combat trick living here is the one Brittle Steel. This doesn't have any of the other Frostbites in like Flash Freeze or Harsh Winds. It doesn't have any of the combat tricks like Troll Chant or a +3/+4. It's really just a whole bunch of units, kind of strategically placed throughout the curve. And so we'll need something else to bring a little bit of help with this, but this is a pretty good base card pool. So let's see, we're jumping in with Tryndamere. Okay, I'm cool with Sejuani's, and I think that's likely who we'll take here. I don't really like pairing up Callista with a with Freljord, and then these cards she's paired with are particularly bad. I really can't recommend ever playing Ravenous Butcher. Tortured Prodigy never plays out to a whole bunch of advantage, just not really worthwhile. And so over here, the collective support Lulu is okay, but the problem we're going to run into here is I rarely draft more than one Tryndamere. I'll occasionally draft two. If we see another Tryndamere with basically like this exact set of cards, there's like Tryndamere with Omen Hawk and Avrosia and Hearthguard or something, then yeah, I'll jump in on a second Tryndamere. But having two 8-drops in your deck is a very real cost and not one that I'm typically willing to pay. And so we are really looking for another champion that we can stack off on, and Lulu is not particularly good at that. I'm not a huge fan of Lulu in general. I really only like playing her in either a Zed deck or I like playing her in a Demacia deck with a bunch of challengers in it. That's just pretty tough to pull off with what we're doing here with Freljord. So the Sejuani will be fine. It does fill in with some of the problems that we had with the Tryndamere side of the pool, and that there was no interaction and no combat tricks. And so picking up 2 combat tricks right from the start is a pretty good go at it. Sejuani gives us a little bit of interaction with her Frostbite plus vulnerable play, whatever you want to call that, and then her flip is also some more interaction in Fury of the North. And so, pretty reasonable pool. The thing I'm also wanting to check out with Suit Up is whether or not the Allegiance unit lives there. I do believe it does. I don't think it's Raiding Party Sejuani that has the Averosian, I don't know, 4 cost. I think it's Suit Up, and so that will also be pretty cool. It won't really influence our decision, but that's what I was wanting to see. Averosian Outriders. Yeah, there we go. And so cool. So, kind of the idea here with this Sejuani Suit Up pool is this is what you would call a go tall kind of thing, right? If, going wide is putting a whole bunch of units on the board, trying to get some kind of advantage out of attacking with 5 or 6 units all at once, a go tall strategy is really investing heavily into one card. And so, really easy to see with something like Fiora. But the idea with this Suit Up pool, this also pairs with Fiora, is you're playing these units, you maybe give them some level ups with like shared spoils and our Omen Hawk, and then maybe you're able to play a the thing in Freljord that like doubles your attack and health, or you could put a Battle Fury on something. It's not something that I'm really wanting to pursue, but that's kind of the idea behind this card pool. What I really like to pursue with Sejuani and what is going to work well with our Tryndamere is just the Overwhelm strategy. This is typically what you see out of a raiding party Sejuani. That's the one that pairs up with Gangplank. You're supposed to be hitting plunders with your overwhelms. All in all, it's a pretty reasonable strategy, but here we're just going to be going for the overwhelms. And so having Mighty Poro, Ruthless Raider, maybe Spirit Walkers, but not likely. Wolf Riders, maybe, but not likely. Avarosian Sentries, and then hopefully we can find some things like Alpha Wildclaw somewhere else. But the good spot that we're in here is one of the ideal late game cards that we'd wanting to be playing is the Ancient Yeti. It's the big Overwhelm Yeti that lives in Ancient Evil. And then outside of that, we don't really need to stack a whole bunch of these like late game Overwhelms. If we're planning on having 3 Sejuanis and a Tryndamere, I like those Ancient Yetis because they can kind of come down cheap, and then maybe we'll look for one more. But all in all, I think this should push us pretty well towards being in a Freljord Allegiance style deck. So, all in all, pretty good. Good stuff here. This is a nice natural little pairing. Let's take the Sejuani, see who else shows up. And so this one's kind of tough. I really do recommend going out of your way to never take Tall Tales, but I really want these Omen Hawks. It's just such a good card. It's just the Tall Tales is so bad. I think I'm gonna give it a go. I can't remember the last time I drafted a Tall Tales. It's probably been a year, but this card is so bad. But I think I do want to go out of my way here to kind of take these Omen Hawks and hopefully kind of push our deck towards this kind of Ancient Evil theme, in the sense that I would rather have these Omen Hawks, the Avarosian Sentries. I want these early game cards kind of showing up. The late game, not that hard to find, and we don't need a whole lot of it. But if our curve gets really out of whack, then we're in kind of a bad spot. That tends to be what happens with these style of decks when they go wrong. So this is tough. I usually never recommend taking Tall Tales. This card is abysmal. I did mention in the drafting phase there that this is 100% what you want to avoid out of Ancient Evil, and we'll double test our ideals here. But I think Omen Hawk is hopefully good enough to Just push us down that path. And oh shit, we're going balls deep into Yetis here. I want the Sentry, but we're going to take this other Tall Tales to go with it. These other packs are just not good enough. Like I would love to take a removal spell in the Crumble, but I think I really want to be staying full Freljord. I really have a lot of faith in those Avarosian Outriders, and as good as Crumble is, I don't want anything to do with Mistwraith here. And so, if we're just ignoring that, we are stuck taking a Tall Tales here. This is the way that I actually end up with these things, but if we're going to take a card between the Sentry and the Catalyst, then we want the Sentry. Okay, all right, so I think we're going to have to go a little bit out of our way to take some of these early game Yetis. If we end up with a third Tall Tales, that will be kind of frightening, but this early game here is just extremely good, and if it comes to taking an Avarosian Sentry, we want the one with the Yearling instead of the one with the Tall Tales. Oh, yeah, come on, bud. Help us, Yeti. Okay. Oh, sweet. Feel the rush. That's a pretty tough one to pass on. It plays extremely well with our champion set. The big overwhelmed champions are exactly what you want with Feel the Rush. I still haven't 100% figured out how this works as far as let's say we have 2 Sejuanis in our deck and 0 Tryndameres. It says different ones, I guess. I guess that really answers our question. And so that may lead us towards wanting to pick up a Trundle, but we'll see how this plays out, or a second Tryndamere at the least. But the Feel the Rush is too good to be passing up. As much as I would love to have a Sentry and a Trapper, hopefully these cards will just kind of continue to show up. Okay. Well, I'm cool with the Trapper and the Bull Elnic. I think if we're kind of stuck playing with all these Yetis, then picking up Trappers will be a little bit more important than usual. And then kind of the big thing with how our deck is shaped up now are these Yetis do have a bit of trouble actually closing out games. They're very good at just getting a bunch of value blocks from your opponent, to where they just chump block it and lose their unit, but it doesn't win the game that well. And so we'll be looking for one of the big overwhelm cards. I forget what it's called. Let's see if we can find it down here real quick. On Tryndamere, I know exactly what it is. Pack Mentality. Yeah, this is a great way to be closing out games with the Yetis. And so perhaps one of those will make an appearance. It's not something we have to go and take, but it's something that we would like to see. Okay, and here I think we just want the interactive elements with the Flash Freeze Icevale Archer. The Yetis again. Hope I don't regret not going out of my way to take some of these, but I think we're okay to pick up our interactive elements. I really want to just go and trade away these Tall Tales, but we'll see how that plays out. And okay, with this one, we're never taking the troops. We're too far and gone to be going after Elnix. And so between having Ancient Yeti or the Spirit Walker, I believe I just want Ancient Yeti. Babbling Bjerg is also, kind of one of the few ways that we can get some card advantage, and it's typically pretty good at just picking up one of our champions. As it stands at this point, we only have one Ancient Yeti in our deck. We'll probably shuffle in some Enraged Yetis, but you tend to draw those really quick, right? Since your Avarosian Trappers put them in the top 3 of your deck. But I think this is where we want to be. The Yeti is kind of my preferred late game here. Okay, and then with these, I'm just going to take the Shared Spoils Pledge. I don't want Usgar or this expensive ramp card. I don't like Icy Yeti unless we have some kind of combos with it, whether or not that's Ash or Noxcria Arena. I just don't like this unless we're doing something with the Frostbites. Just playing it just because it's a Yeti is not quite good enough. I'm not interested in playing Tall Tales on turn 7, and so it's a pretty easy pass. These cards aren't high quality, but they'll get the job done. Cool, Omen Hawk Brutal Steel. Exactly what we're looking for. Okay. I'm going to say, cool, here's our first shot at Avarosian Outriders. It sucks it's with an Icy Yeti. And then you just look over and see the Avarosian Hearthguard, and he's a very easy take here. We're a little high on the early game interaction, but this just gives us it's at least a reasonable card, and we know that we can kind of trade away 1 or 2 of these Brittle Steels, or up to 3 or 4 of them. I definitely want the Trapper here. Okay, I think that's an easy set. Alrighty. So here, I feel kind of unfortunate that we've passed up on all of these kind of interactive elements in these Fury of the North, but we do have a Troll Chant, we do have an Elixir of Iron, which should be pretty good. And then we haven't seen a Battle Fury yet, but you know, if you're familiar with my work, we do love a Battle Fury, and we'll probably go out of our way to take it. So I feel kind of okay letting these go. I do kind of want to be picking up Yeti Yearlings since we have the 2 Tall Tales. You know, I do plan on trading those out, but having these early game plays is very important here. So I think we're good to take the Yearling with the Icevale Archer. And then our trade, pick up another Tall Tales. No, I'm willing to just get rid of the Catalyst of Aeons. Bloodsworn Pledge is not very good, but it is at least a combat trick, and the Catalyst just does not play well with what our deck is trying to do. Get rid of that. All right, let's see here. Let's see. We've got to pick up a card to premium. I'm pretty confident that I've already leveled up Omen Hawk, but I don't think I've leveled up Yeti Yearling. I know for a fact I've leveled up Avarosian Trapper. So let's see if we can't go and upgrade these Yeti Yearlings, and then if for some reason we've already done it, then we'll hit the Sentry. He's a nice little early game play, but I'm feeling pretty good about getting these Yetis leveled up. Yeti? Oh man, we've already got it. Man, life is tough. Life is tough. Okay, so there we go. So many Avarosians. We're getting to the point where we're gonna have to start leveling up rares. Gonna have to get a second job to start affording that kind of thing. No, everything's fine. Welcome to the Shiny Club, Avarosian Sentry. We're ready for battle. Cool. Yeah, I think this came together pretty reasonably well. We got those 2 Tall Tales that I want to get rid of, but otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how our curve looks, the amount of interaction we got. We got the Tall Tales to get rid of. We want to get rid of some Brittle Steels. I'd love to find some Avarosian Outriders. Love to find some Harsh Winds. But other than that, I think we're looking pretty good. Okay, and then with a hand like this, I think the thing with Brittle Steel is if we're not going to keep it in our opener, then like when are we ever going to use it? So I think we're kind of stuck hanging on to it. The Hearthguard is kind of interesting because depending on how like fast this guy's deck is, we might just have the time to get this on board. I think I'm actually going to hang on to this. I typically don't like doing that kind of thing, but what I'm kind of hoping that we can do here is just get these Omen Hawks going, just buy a little bit of time, and then just really stack up on our opponent with all of these +1/+1 effects. We're just going to block. I think it's going to be tough for us to get any value out of this Omen Hawk. We'll let him get the 2-for-1 on the trades to give all of our units a bonus. And I have thought this was always kind of an interesting outcome when you get the double Omen Hawks and then don't actually draw any of the units, because it feels so much better to give 2 of your units +2/+2 than it does to give 2 of your units +1/+1 and 1 +2/+2. So I'm always excited to see our units get extra big. Okay. Give one of these guys +3/+3. Gigantic Bjerg, you're 6/6, right? Yeah. So this is pretty good. Like, this is kind of one of the things that you see a lot with these style of overwhelmed decks. Is from this point forward, we're going to be playing a 4, we're going to be playing a 5. A good chance, we get to play a 6, and we did in Sejuani. And so it's very important to just have these really cheap 1-cost tricks, because we're going to be going so deep into the game without keeping any spell mana banked up.
Ready the torches.
Sure. Absolutely beautiful. That's what we love to see here. He's spending cards and he's spending mana and not adding anything to the board. Like, what's he supposed to do here? Play a 3/3? Like, this is absolutely beautiful for us. And then here, I don't really want to be playing the Sejuani. I think we just want to play Omen Hawk, Icevale Archer, bank up our mana, and then see if we can't have a good Sejuani next turn, which it looks like we're going to be able to do. We've just kind of dominated this board here. Can't imagine this guy comes back from this. Like, hitting his This Darius here means he can't even play like the Reckoning and kill some of our smaller units. Okay, so I think we want to just send our Babbling Bjerg into this thing and then try to get everyone else in. If he wants to take the value block, it's gonna have to come onto our 4 attack here, and this might just be lethal. Yeah, it looks like it might just be lethal anyways. 5, 9, 12, 14. Yeah. Could maybe play our way through a Whirling Death. Can't quite tell. But it doesn't matter. This is like 100% what we are going to do regardless of the cards in his hand.
Face me, coward!
He's playing them all off the thing. This is going to be a 3. It's hard to see where his lines are going. This one's going on our guy here, which 3 to 4 will be okay. This is going here, so we just need the 1 troll champ. And then so let's protect our Sejuani. She should come back out of this with just a little bit extra health. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Press on.
Yep. So we were pretty far ahead there.
The Winter's Claw triumphs!
Yeah, the Winter's Claw. Triumphant stuff. Thanks, Sejuani. And so cool. Oh gosh, with the Tusk Raider. Oh man, this is as sweet as it gets. The Spirit Walker's okay, but the Tusk Raider is just such an incredibly powerful unit. Very happy to be picking these up. Tryndamere over here. I don't like it that stairs. If you're not familiar, the reason I don't like this is, you know, if we look at an 8-drop like the Tusk Raider, it just closes out the game almost immediately, right? If we look at something like Tryndamere, he closes out the game almost immediately. It the stairs does not. He just gets blocked over and over and over again. And so, you know, you can block the Tusk Raider over and over and over again, but you know, turning all of your Yetis into 10-10s and stuff tends to make the game, you know, just end almost immediately. And this guy does not. And so it's a little unfortunate. You know, he would be much more interesting as like a 2-2 for 2 as opposed to an 8-8 for 8. But this is a pretty easy take here with Sejuani and her epic pairing. Okay, so yeah, this is feeling pretty good. I would like to trade out like that Spirit Walker. It's like, how many ways can we find like Avarosian Outriders? This is the big ones I want here. So good, especially when it's like you shuffle in a Yeti and then give it +3/+3 overwhelm. But like our late game is supremely good now. We don't need anything else up top. We're gonna have the 3 Sejuanis, the Tryndamere, the Tusk Raider. It's just our early game that we have to kind of watch out for. Okay, this is a pretty easy set of trades. Always happy to keep the trappers, but let's look for something else cheaper. As you can see, playing a bunch of Omen Hawks early is pretty good. Not the worst thing you could be doing. And this is one of the things that does kind of scare me a little bit, is we don't have any kind of answer to Zoe. Looks like he's playing 2, which is kind of surprising. People typically build towards victors, but we'll have to see how scary she gets. I don't want to just kind of like go out of my way to Brittle Steel this, but I will pop her with an Ice Veil Archer. Kind of keep ourselves playing on curve.
I can do this.
Okay, 100% willing to trade.
Took the bait.
Okay.
My arrow won't miss.
Great Brittle Steel does Mountain Goat, just preventing from getting a gem. It's like, whoa, why would you ever do that? Let's go for the value play. If he has a combat trick, I don't really care. This is one of these spots where it keeps him from adding stuff to the board if he has to have a combat trick. This is fine.
They walked around. The trap is set.
Then here, I'm not going to play the Yeti. We have, 4 1-cost tricks left in our deck. I'll really want to play Hearthguard, and if we pick up a 1-cost trick, then I want to be able to add it to the board. Having Enraged Yeti is a little interesting in that respect, but I think we just want to go for the value here.
One banner.
Broke my hand, so I got a new one.
And this kind of illustrates a little bit how I talk about how it's hard to close out games with Enraged Yetis and things like the Hearthguard. He can just sit here and block over and over again. So it can be tough to just finish here, right? He's kind of slow on the Zoe. It doesn't seem like she's going to be able to get a big like Golden Sister hit in anytime soon. But it does give him a whole lot of time because none of these cards have Overwhelm. Cool. Iterative improvement on an Enraged Yeti would have been kind of gross. I'm glad to see that we didn't play it here and he had to pick up the Hearthguard. Much rather see this guy spending all of his mana on a Hearthguard than spending 1 mana on a Yeti. Okay.
Save the hope.
Now, my big question here is, do we want to kind of like save mana for this Bloodsworn Pledge, or do we want to try to Bjerg into Sejuani? It looks like we're kind of like a coin flip here on hitting her. We hit Bull Elnick as well, as we +1/+1 to everything. But I don't think we're going to be able to kill Zoe fast enough anyways. But on the other side of the coin, I think we're just going to play it and get these Yetis down. He's not going to combat kill us anytime soon. Does need an elusive to be scary. Guess we can play him and see what happens.
I won't stop now.
The full 6 mana, what would this be? Like maybe a Pale Cascade Moonglow is fine. The thing that I just don't want to happen here is I don't want to lose any of my units.
It can't be.
And so I'm willing to let Assembly Bot go. The block onto Tayari is what feels particularly scary for me. I guess if we're going to block Tayari, we can just throw the Trapper in front of it. Because he's like 100% playing a spell here. So like, what's his spell going to be? If it's like Pale Cascade, then we still win. Don't like win against Tayari, but we get to he can't win the combat. Like even Targon Shield won't get him out of this. You have to have another suit up. Beautiful.
Will no one listen? Poor man's gone mad. Take your poison.
The wheel turns. Day becomes night. Time to make colors.
Okay. Hopefully our health is enough to stave away anything that Zoe can do here.
These stories were true.
And the big question is, do we just need to open into this? Or can we actually play Sejuani? Brittle Steel's kind of an interesting pickup. And then I think we can Frostbite challenge this thing, right? I don't think this puts the little circle thing on the board. Not 100% sure on that. Anyways, with this, I don't care about Zoe. We could hook Tayari just to get the full amount of damage in, but this is one of these things I really wish we could just hold. I'll talk about this a bit. I wish we could like hold Alt, play Sejuani, and then see what's going to happen. Like if we could push a button right here to kind of see what was going to happen with the Oracle's Eye.
The calm before the storm. Pain is nothing.
wants to play Hearthguard, which is fine. Like, my only worry is a big elusive attack, and he has to do a whole bunch of blocking here. Like, you can get value blocks with Hearthguard, you can get value blocks with Assembly Bot, but he should be losing all of his other units.
Enough stalling.
I guess the argument to hitting something else with Sejuani would be to Brittle Steel down Tayari when it tries to block, but Tayari would only be able to get trades on Bjerg or Trapper, which not super important to save.
Our strength is yours.
You gotta believe me.
You close to flipping? No. I think we still want to overwhelm.
Stand and defend.
Hi, I'm Zoe. What's your name?
Filthy elf inspector said
It's lethal. Can't block like this. Oh, he just has another guy to get in, though.
What's the wares?
Lighten up.
Okay. And then what could be pretty valuable here is we can Brittle Steel one of his guys back. So if we manage to pick up an elusive or something, then we can still Brittle Steel his Hearthguard. Not excited about adding this, but we shouldn't be in a spot where we overwrite it, right? We're just going to get like one more draw here. Tusk Raider. Do we ever just play this? I mean, we can play it just to draw Sejuani, which is the same as just drawing Fury of the North, which is kind of interesting. I don't think the double the attack and health is going to be super relevant this game. I think that's kind of what I'm leaning towards doing here. But I mean, the only like real scary thing I think he could be doing here. He did play like a Beyond the Infinite, so he could have, one of the big expensive elusives. I didn't catch if the Assembly Bot Moonglow was hit by that Beyond the Infinite, but I think for the most part we should be okay here. Just as long as he doesn't play Golden Sister. Okay. I don't think we care about that, and I don't think he can pass it back to us, so I think this should be reasonably okay. And do we ever just throw Sejuani in front of this thing? I like it.
Leave no survivors.
We can give her a ton of health if we need to. And then, like, at worst, we could just draw another one and play the next one next turn. I think this is fine. Beautiful. So we should be in a pretty good spot to just kill him with this open. Sejuani should be good for 5 against what he has. And then if he just blocks our 2 big boys, then the Bjerg Yeti Yearling should be enough to kill him as well.
Danger noodle.
Danger Noodle.
Hey, you brought back my favorite star.
Okay. We probably have to open now. This is incredibly bad for us if he has
Tell me something.
a Crescent Strike. I hit the Serpent. Okay. Alright. Have we changed our minds on opening? I don't think so. Just gotta again clear out this board. And then as it stands, we should be able to get an overwhelm kill.
You gotta believe me!
This is our homeland.
Okay. Check the eye, and we're good. Cool. Alrighty. That was a little closer than I wanted, but I think that did illustrate why I think that the big overwhelm card is so important. Right, this dude just sat here and blocked with a bunch of shitty units over and over again, and we got lucky. We were able to just clean out his board enough that that active Zoe was not game closing. Okay, with this one, I'm happy to get rid of Elnick for Omen Hawk. It's absolutely one of the best one drops in the game. So we'll take any and every Omen Hawk that comes our way here. Would be okay with this Brittle Steel. We have too many of these, but this is okay. Very, very happy to pick up the Hawks. We have not drawn a Tall Tales or had the option to trade it out, so maybe we'll just never see one this entire trial. It'll be like we never drafted it. Okay, I don't really like any of this hand. No Riven. Like I just really want to have Omen Hawks and I want to have Yeti generators. I think this is probably one of these matches though where we have enough time to just hang on to Hearthguard. Can't imagine he's like super aggressive here. Okay, not a bad start.
Bless the faithful and fear the heretics. Punish transgressions.
I can't imagine Leon is like super excited to be paired with Riven.
You can see the Demacian border from here.
Let's just keep playing on curve.
For the homestead. Nothing can stop me. Nothing escapes my watch. Follow the horizon. Look out for reavers.
I think I want to protect this one. Let's Brittle Steel. These Brittle Steels fall off in quality like really fast. And I think what's going to happen is next turn we're going to have a lot of trouble spending all of our mana. I don't really want to be playing Ancient Yeti next turn. But if he's gonna spend a weapon hilt, I think I'm okay with that.
Light the signal fires.
Okay. So do we ever want to bank a mana? I kind of want to bank a mana for this Elixir of Iron. But then that means we can't play Omen Hawk. I think I'm okay with that. Let's just draw the card. Whoa, did not expect that. Cool. Why would he just dome this thing? That's strange to me. It makes sense if he's like playing Freljord and must have sent some Brittle Steels at it, but just to stun it? Okay. Things have been done. I guess what else can we say about that?
Our strength is yours.
Very happy with how this panned out. I really liked how we did that, keeping our spell mana.
Noxus!
Again, we can just continue to block these things. It's not a particularly scary unit when it can't block. This feels like the turn to get our Ancient Yeti down. It's very hard for him to play units that are bigger than ours. Freljord Noxus just doesn't have a huge array of them. Like, he can play, if he wants to spend like 6 mana on a 6/5, then that just does not play well into what we're doing. Right, if he wants to play like Ravoon or the 6/5 Fearsome or Armored Elephant or whatever, like none of those cards seem particularly good here.
Amarosans, stand together!
Why does he keep giving our stuff 1 health? That's the thing I can't figure out, is if he's trying to get a like a Blade Storm together, whatever that thing is called. The thing that Death Lotus is what I'm thinking of.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
Okay, well, let's keep this Yeti back. Beautiful. The monster of a Sejuani. Who do we shut down? Probably just this thing. Can still brittle steel the Glory Seeker whenever he tries to do something with it. It should be obvious that we're up to shenanigans when we don't just hit the Glory Seeker, but felt like that was going to be okay. Very tough for them to give a unit plus 3 health. Okay, we're taking the Sejuani one. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Our first Outriders and then Starlit Seer, of course, is very good early game play. I do like these Tryndamere cards. I do like the Yeti plus Pack Mentality, but you know, the Avarosian Outriders fixes a lot of our problems with the Yetis, right? Just giving, trying to make an 8/8 Overwhelm for 1 mana. It's a pretty good deal. But very happy to pick up the 3rd Sejuani. Still, like, the only thing that really strikes me as strange is if, like, we should have taken the Tryndamere because we have both Feel the Rush and Tusk Raider, right? We have an additional way to draw Sejuani in the Tusk Raider, and then we do want 2 champions every time from Feel the Rush. So, you know, if we draw our 1 Tryndamere, then we can't Feel the Rush him anymore. Nonetheless, reasonable start. Yeah, how shiny that start is. It's definitely going to be intimidated. Yeah, come on, bud. It's Tarek Lulu. I think there's a reasonable chance that he doesn't have a unit here we care about. I think pretty good chance we get in like a bonus damage with this Sentry. And if he wants to trade, it's fine. This deck, you know, has to keep 2 units, or at least 1 unit on the board. He's wanting to play like Tarek plus card, so I think this will pan out nicely.
The trap is set.
2, 3. We probably just have to attack with everything now. If he wants to play Tarek,
Safeguard our homes.
he puts the block down here on Omen Hawk. It's okay. Get in more damage this way.
I bring clarity.
You got it, boss. Oof.
What did we catch?
We made it, Rim! I wanna go home!
A little awkward with the mana, but
Never submit.
let's see what we can do here. Not a whole lot. I think we want to blast a big chunk of damage onto Tarek for 2 reasons. In that this should reduce his health and make him vulnerable to brittle steals from this point forward. That's the big thing I'm looking for here. And then he's already a pretty terrible blocker, but he could block a lot of our little guys, and now he can't. So I think that turns out pretty reasonably.
In Avarosa's name, I'm through waiting.
So if he plays Pale Cascade, it like kind of sucks. You know, you don't want you know, to lose the Yeti here, but you know, it's better than him having to play two of them. And this one's a touch awkward in that I really kind of want to play like Outriders into Shared Spoils, but I think we have to just get our plunder unit down. Just play all of our plunders. This is kind of the other way to get Overwhelm on our Yetis. Okay.
Step lightly.
Block anything? Maybe.
Many tribes, one Freljord.
Come on, Rib.
I don't remember what this does. Create an attacking thing.
Preserve beauty and protect
My
all
bro's
life.
stats. Alright. Well, let's see what that amounts to. It's a 2-2. Alright. So unfortunately now we can't deal with this Tarek, but I think all these other blocks will be okay. Let's put this one, or let's put our Yeti down here since this is kind of the worst one. But it gets elusive. Create an attacking Mumble Sprite with my supported allies stats. Then these things just always have elusive. Right, fine. Okay. If that's the way the game works, then fine. We've blocked the things that we can block. Alright.
Will be a good spring.
So, I don't think we can lethal. I think we're probably just dead here, but we're gonna draw a big boy off the top, and maybe that'll be enough overwhelm to make something happen. Oh god, just the actual worst. We have a Yeti, but we can't put it on the board. Stupid card. I knew it was gonna come to bite us in the ass at some point.
Eyes open.
The actual worst draw.
Fade and be gone.
Why, hello there.
Oh, that's fine. So I don't think we can Brittle Steel. We need to save this for next turn so we can try to stop this elusive from dealing damage to us. Like as it stands, we can deal with a Tarek +1. So,
It's about time.
oh god, we're out of Yetis now too. This card's I knew it was gonna burn us at some point. I knew it. Stupid card. That's not what we need. At least helps us survive against Tarek. Okay. Oh no, he got too much health. Oh noes. Alright. I solely place the blame on that loss to Tall Tales. This actual 100% dead card at the worst time possible. I guess we could have left a spot open on our board for the event that we were going to draw Tall Tales, but it was not the case. I am like kind of tempted to pick up Flash Freezes, but I think this is okay. Really, I think our 1-drops are good enough now. I think we can trade away the Yearling for the Overwhelm Yeti. I would like to have a little bit more top end here. We're a little short on Overwhelms. Like picking up the Spirit Walker was good for our Yetis. Picking up the Outriders was good, but I'd like to have just a little bit more Overwhelm. Tall Tales. worse. Let me trade it out of here. Quit offering me more tall tales. Let me just get rid of this dumb stuff. Right, the Retribution. Callista with Lucian. So, I'm always happy to keep Ancient Yetis in our opener, and let's mulligan for those all Omen Hawks. We clearly win this combat because our card's shiny. Yeah, let's get that out of here. One of the big things I'll talk about on the Callista side of things is how you're using Blighted Caretakers, right? Blighted Caretaker is kind of Callista's best friend. And when it comes to that, you know, the big problem you run into with these decks is losing your early game play. And so if he had wanted to play a Blighted Caretaker on 3, then you know, he's getting to the point to where he has to sacrifice a good unit. That's why I talk about the importance of the hapless aristocrats. They're just so good at, you know, sticking around and keeping units on board. It lets you have that unit to be a caretaker, sacrificial pawn, if you will. Okay, and then do we have to just accept that this Callista's probably gonna flip? We don't have a lot of good answers to this. But I think we can, like, well, it doesn't matter, right? We're just gonna be swinging back and she's gonna flip. The big thing with her is if we can avoid her, like, flipping on his next attack, then I think it's okay. So let's do this. Let's, like, get a block in. We're just gonna plan on not attacking on our turn. And then, we can start just trying to go big into Callista after that.
Many tribes, one Freljord.
Right, I think, you know, if we stop and think about it, we do have Feel the Rush in our hand. And so as long as we aren't dying here, then I think we have a lot of potential for Feel the Rush. And now we just have a lot of potential to just slam a whole bunch of Yetis on the board. We finally got to see this 8/8 Overwhelm Yeti, but we can get the Ancient, or the Enrage the Ancient and the Tall Tales on board. Okay. Can hopefully just deal with this next turn. We do have the Sejuani. Crumble, that kind of sucks. Should be a small unit though. We can prevent this damage with this guy. I'm not willing to take a full 8 bomb here, so let's at least prevent the damage. And there is an argument to just kind of wait on the Tall Tales, but I don't think we want to give him an opportunity to play a big pile of cards. Right, like we would next turn, you know, we could bank all that spell mana and then do it next turn, but I don't want to end up in this spot to where he's able to play Crumbles. It turns out he got to that spot anyways with the Sapling Toss, but that was kind of the idea behind playing it on his turn. It's not impossible for him to have a combat trick here, but again, I do want to keep his board just as minimal as possible. It's extremely good for us. We're 3 turns away from Feel the Rush. It's awkward. It's going to have to be on our turn 10. Oh, is this what he hit with his elite? Oh, and Drew Sejuani? Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So she is just safe now, which always feels good. We're pretty reasonably out of Neverglade Collector range. This is all pretty fine. Okay.
What could have been?
We see through all.
Okay, so we'll feel the rush next turn. This is probably the turn where we'll draw Tryndamere, but I think it's okay. But the big thing I guess we have to worry about here is if he has access to the Harrowing, which he still technically can do. So let's let him like try to spend some mana and play some cards and shit, and then try to play, not the Harrowing. The one I'm worried about is what's it called? The Ruination. There we go. The big Wrath of God card.
Safeguard our
perfect.
citizens.
There's the stats.
From the savage cold.
All right, brother needs some good ones here to get out of this. We're gonna open. No, try our best not to lose to the Harrowing or the Ruination. I'll call it the proper card at some point. Before the day's over, I will call it the correct name.
Do not waver.
Okay.
This will be a good winter.
Light the signal fires.
Still seems pretty reasonable. Okay.
Patience.
Big old boy. I had to double check and see if that was something the guy hit with the Outriders. It wasn't. Okay. Perfect draw.
Out of the springs. Tread carefully.
I'll take the bait, whatever you're trying to sacrifice this unit for. You're wanting to Black Spear or something, that's fine.
Behind you, a Yeti!
Yetis. There's no such thing.
Okay.
Stay back!
You got it. Alright, let's see if this is enough.
You gotta believe me! I'm through waiting.
We'll do the little to big attack here. It shouldn't be super relevant. The reason you typically do this is, you know, your bigger and more important units are down here on the right, and you're trying to push this Radiant Guardian down to the left to have to block more important dudes, or less important dudes, I should say.
This one.
Appears as though we've got it, unless he picked up a removal spell or a life gain.
I will end this here.
Yeah, bud. I think we got it. All right. What you got, Twist Ditch? Did you find the perfect blocks? Prevent damage. Okay, well, let's go ahead and Brittle Steel this thing. We're never going to find more Brittle Steels throughout this trial. We could protect the Trapper as well, I guess. Just keep our board as good as we can.
Winter.
Do some Omen Hawk activating, or some Starlit Seer activating, I should say. Okay. I think we're going to be okay now. I don't know if he's capable of surviving this kind of attack. Alright, good deal.
They never stood a chance.
They never stood a chance, that's right. Alrighty, so let's see here. I don't want to make any of these trades. I don't want Take Hearts, Tall Tales, or Alpha Wild Claws, so we can go ahead and skip all of these, especially when it's trying to take some of our cheaper cards and our interaction away from us. It's a pretty easy skip. Alright. Trial continues. Interesting. It's like I just want to get rid of all of these and just look for Omen Hawks. I don't think we can do that. I think we can get rid of these. This deck's probably never going to get aggressive. Let's get an Ice Veil Archer and hang on to our 1. Okay. At least curves pretty well. We have to be a little bit more protective of these Yeti Yearlings than we typically are, but this is fine. And against these guys, we're probably pretty safe to go ahead and play a Sentry. Not a whole lot of good units that can interact with this thing. And then we'll roll the dice if he actually wants to try to trade with our Yeti Yearling. People typically do not want to do that.
Alert the village.
Gonna get him with the tall tales. Alright, we have to play cards into this. We can't risk him hooking our Yeti Yearling, but it's not like he can do anything about our big Yeti. He can't frostbite this thing. Alright, and then now we're getting to the point where we have to ask ourselves if we want to actually start like banking some mana. I think we can skip on the Outriders for this turn. I do want to keep at least 1 mana open to try to play cards into these cards.
Warning, take you.
Pretty low value Sunforger. Can Brittle steal this Ramfang Wolf in the event that he has something we don't approve of?
We feast tonight, Varg.
We have to do it this way. We'll add the Omen Hawk, then depending on what he does in combat here, we'll add the Outriders. Let's pass. I like it. Let's actually have this big collection of good spells here. I think we want to take advantage of that.
United, nothing can stop us.
Again, we have these spots where there are good big Freljord units, but not good big Targon cards here, so it's kind of like 50-50 on whether he can play anything reasonable. That'll shut us down, though.
A drop of kindness creates many ripples.
Oh man, oh he does have Overwhelm. I was like, oh buddy, I wish you had the Overwhelms. He does. So pretty good, feeling pretty good here.
Eyes blazing bright as torches.
He's going to try to wait and get a good Frostbite or something. That's fine. We have plenty of answers to this Rhymefang Wolf. I'd rather just sequence our cards to where we have our worst ones coming down first. Still have a good brittle steel here. We knew what was up, friend. We don't approve of your actions. we knew what was going on. All right. Let's see here. I mean, this is happening 100% of the time. What do we do with this Wild Claw? Because I kind of want a unit to die so that we can get Sejuani on the board. Do we just want to put the most stats we can in front of this? So, 'cause then we can hook this with Sejuani next turn and get a bunch of damage in. I like it.
This will make you feel better.
That doesn't make me feel better. I forgot that he had the spring gifts. That's okay. It's kind of awkward because I feel like we need to keep the flash freeze for his Rhymefang Wolf. Maybe we can play it after combat.
You own what you take.
Shit's annoying. Okay.
Safeguard our homes. Our ranks fill the valley.
Okay, we'll just protect our Sejuani, I guess. But if we're gonna do that, let's add our Yeti, right? Because we don't care if this thing, like Troll Chance or whatever he wants to do here to try to take down a bigger unit. I think this is better.
Surround them. In Avarosa's name.
Stand and fight.
I don't want to hurt you.
You cannot sway me.
What's this Troll Chant look like, friend?
Enough stalling.
Probably protect this Enraged Yeti given the chance here, but see how he throws down. Cool.
Light the signal fire.
Sejuani Part 2.
Our land.
Nowhere near flipping. Nowhere near. Okay, I'll take the bait. Cool. Board is just like supremely better than this guy's now. Gross. Gross. wish we had ours. Wish we had ours, that's for certain.
Bristle, attack.
Watchers will run red!
Why are you here?
But we just need things to go right now. Like, if the extent of his stuff is to like add a Sejuani that we can flash freeze, then hopefully we can go wider than him and get a kill here. We basically have to win the game on our next attack, which is, I mean, it looks reasonable given the cards that we have here, but
I see the
play this massive Leona.
Unleash it.
We beasts know our own kind, Sejuani.
Okay. Interesting choice. I think we're okay. We can add, Sejuani Leona here, which Leona comes down, stuns our sign. Assume he's going to Sejuani, our Sejuani. We just have to block one unit. I was afraid we don't have enough stats to throw in front of that on the way back. Seems like a problem. And being able to play 2 double stat units is just, I think it's going to be too much. We're going to get in for 5 and then lose on his swing back.
Bow to no one.
Okay, so he's not doing the Leona play. Interesting. It's another big old bro that he drew.
Stand and fight.
Okay. Yeah, don't really. Well, this is gonna put extra damage on this thing. Is that enough now? We're gonna get in 5 plus 3. Yeah, that's the way we did it. Perfect. Oh, and we drew the trick. Nice.
Born for conquest.
That's good enough now that this guy only has 2 health. Though that kind of slipped my mind as far as plays go.
Leave no survivors.
You can still interact and do something, but I mean we got the lethal, and so that's all that we can really ask for in this spot. Make him have it. Zero. It's gonna stay there. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Thought he was gonna survive in the free-to-play bust video, and
I refuse.
didn't know he had to go against the sick top decks. But hey, we put ourselves in a spot to win, and we had the opportunity come up, and that's the way I look at that. There's a let me see here. I don't want Bloodsworn Pledge. I kind of like having our boosting card. I think we can skip all of these. I think these Spirit Walkers are a little better than They Who Endure here, because they're just a little bit cheaper, and then they also help our Yetis. But no, there's kind of like a thing in poker, whereas you know, it's kind of like considering putting yourself in a spot to get lucky, right? And so instead of giving up percentage points that really add up in the long run, it's kind of what you see in spots like that. You know, if you're not, if you're taking, the 0% chance and just considering that game lost, and then we're considering that, we found a 2% chance to get out of that, then our, 2%ers really add up over the long run. So kind of call it making your own luck, or playing to your outs, or however you want to look at it. Okay. A little closer than we like, but got there in the end. Oof. Oh, the sea monsters. Wonder if the last waltz caught our primers on the old Nautilus. Just not drafting him ever. But this is reasonable. The Seer is a high quality 2-drop. We really want our early game plays to be these things that just boost our units and give us stats. And then we're always happy to start with these Ancient Yetis. We should have plenty of time to get him down for 2 or 3 mana. It's interesting as well. This guy has no Shadow Isles, just full Bilgewater, and so he should be relying on like Pool Sharks and Fortune Croakers to be trying to hit deep. He shouldn't have any toss in his deck.
Who goes there?
Okay, do we ever want to put this Yeti on our deck? I don't really think we do, but see what happens. Because this gets awkward for two reasons. We can just play Ancient Yeti Tall Tales next turn if we want, and it also takes away our ability to play Troll Chant. I think it seems a little spewy to just run that out. I like it a lot better just playing double Yeti.
Blood and guts, golden glory.
As it stands, he's not being too threatening. That's a pretty good open into like Spirit Walker, right? I think I dig this. So if he wants to hook Starlit Seer, we don't really care. We just have this huge open next turn. I dig everything that's happening here. Whoa, not you.
This would be a good winter.
So we got some value out of the Starlit Seer. What more can you ask for? I mean, we got our opponent's one drop out of it, and then he's probably gonna hook here just to get these stat generations off the board, and then we got a +1/+1 out of our deck. Okay.
Going harvesting.
So much to play for.
Is willing to take the. Oh, he's gonna put the Bull Shark in front of this next turn. Okay.
Better than eating.
Like, we can play spells into this, but I think I'm still on board with the plan of just slamming in here and trying to play a Plundered Spirit Walker. That changes things. We can just play him next turn now. We can get a good Troll Chant here. Very tough for him to play a unit that's really relevant. He's going to have... they just don't exist in Bilgewater till he hits deep. He can play like a 4/4/4. He can play a variety of 4/4s. He can play like the 3/3 elusive guy. He just does not have good units into this board. Okay. Let's see if we get him good with this Troll Chant. Oh, we're gonna get him good. I love a good get him good. Love it. So you get a boost, you get a neg. Keep all of our units, get some overwhelm damages in. Beautiful, beautiful. They don't have combat tricks in Bilgewater.
Win.
Give it a whirl.
Sure.
The treasure was in me the whole time.
Alright, we're gonna bring the thunder here.
So pretty.
The War Mother will unite us all.
Okay.
What's the
This
one
is
light down there,
this is
guys?
not a time for value. He might be able to. He can survive our next attack, but he's just not going to have a board at the end of the day. Oh goodness. All right, last waltz. Got to bring it. Nope. No attacks.
Through the coral.
Interesting. They just wanted to take out our overwhelm unit.
Function call. Celebrate.
Okay. So let's just play the Stab Fielder Rush. Oh man, we drew our Tryndamere. Okay. Well, we need to open. I have no intention of flash freezing anything, just getting the damage in, playing Spirit Walker. We can play Tryndamere on his turn. Should be taking quite a chunk. Let's come here. I'd imagine he blocks with Zap, falls to 10. Still have 2 units. Play Tryndamere on our next turn. We have, yeah, I think we're fine. I don't think we need to flash freeze any of this. We'll just save it for 2 turns from now. Oh, you can't play Tryndamere out of your hand. It's just, I'm so not used to playing this that it just doesn't come up too frequently. So on our next attack, our next turn, we can just feel the rush and get both Tryndamere and Sejuani on the board. I think we're fine. What was all that? I got bamboozled and then confused. Double Lure of the Depths, the beast below. Okay. So he's a salvage away from going deep. This is fine. This will keep our two units on the board, or 2 spaces open for our Feel the Rush units. And here I'm just going to cancel a card draw. Guess we technically should have done this one on the left to try to prevent this guy from flipping, but it's okay.
If I kill you, I don't fortune, stupid.
Alrighty. And the only thing with this attack, if he doesn't just immediately concede, is we want the Ursine to be to the right of the Hearthguard. The Ursine dies in combat, then the Hearthguard will lose Overwhelm. It's, not ideal. Not ideal. What's this? 2031 Overwhelm. Nautilus is interesting. So he has to draw 1 card to go deep. He can jettison, so he can technically do it. Still just gonna slam everybody.
Today we fight as one.
Do you hear the call?
He's got 9, 11 stats. I think we're fine. Cool. Alrighty, let's get prepared for that final battle.
They never stood a chance.
Never stood a chance, I know, man. Tryndamere bringing the heat. So let's see. This one is interesting. I do love me an Avarosian Outriders. I think I want to make this trade. It just, you know, we still have a touch of this Yetis theme. Making those 1-cost Yetis with +3/+3 and Overwhelm is huge. I think I'm happy to pick this up. Oh, we can get rid of Tall Tales. Nice. Finally, trade it for actual anything. Do we want? I don't think we can stack up on Sejuani's. Not when we have Feel the Rush. So let's pick up the Scar Mother. She at least has Overwhelm. That's good. We got rid of all of our Tall Tales. Our last Yeti for a Battle Fury, I do like. I really like having access to Battle Furies in these Overwhelmed top end kind of decks. This one I feel pretty comfortable skipping. We don't want 2 Battle Furies. I'm okay with the Rime Tusk Shaman, but not for one of our interactive elements. I'd rather get rid of one of these cards that we just aren't excited to have to pick this up. It's fairly medium in this style of deck when we don't have combos for it. And here, I think we're happy to trade the Scar Mother back out for the interactive element. I think that's pretty good. Caught in the Cold's one of the few ways we can actually, do something to our opponent's units, right? Other than just play combat tricks. So I think that's a high value pickup. Alrighty, game time. The finalist of battles. Here can't remember. Oh, I thought this might have been like if we won this, it might have been 5 in a row as far as 7 winners. But we had a that Gangplank run in there. That Freljord Gangplank run was only a 2 winner. But I think we had a 14 win expedition, and then the Gangplank one, and then I think we get 7-1 2 bonus trials, and then we're here. I think that's the way it's gone here in recent memory. I don't know. It all runs together after a while. Blame it on the Gangplank. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't post like 100% of my expeditions. It's pretty close. I post just about everything. I think there's a lot of value in the trials, even where we don't get 7 wins. You know, especially say like with those Nautilus trials we did here recently, where they ultimately weren't successful, but I think they showcased, you know, if you want to actually draft Nautilus, how it could be successful, and then it showcased a lot of the problems with him if some junior dev at Riot wants to get some bonus points in the next daily meeting. But it's I think there's a lot of value in there, so I tend to post them all unless it's like either a trial. Hang on, let's try to get a real opponent. Unless it's a trial where I just feel like it's something that we've done like 5 or 6 times. Like I don't feel like, you know, if we take Afterlife Callista to a 4 winner, that, you know, there's like a whole lot of value and a whole lot of learning there, unless I feel like we ran into something particularly interesting. And then if I get a little salty, then I'll just can that one as well. I don't try to stay positive in these things and not get salty. It creeps out a little bit on occasion, but I don't like it if I'm not keeping my attitude positive, and so I'll trash those. But nonetheless, things are moving on. We found an opponent, and I think I want to full keep this. We've got a good curve. We're playing against a base Fiora deck with Frostbite, which can be fairly important as far as buying time is concerned. And so I think this is a reasonable start. Get it in there. Get it in there. Okay. Good chance they just don't play any cards in the first 2 turns. Like the kind of standard Fiora strategy is you don't play anything in the first 2 turns. You bank up to Prismatic Barrier. Turn 3 you play Fiora, Barrier, whatever you attack into, and then on turn 4 forward you're good to just like riposte everything. Extremely strange to see this guy play Greenglade Elder on 3. That seems extremely lucky for us.
Think before you strike.
Yep. And then we're just gonna bank here. I like a lot of this hand against what we're playing against. Being able to Frostbite Fiora, big deal. Being able to survive combats against Fiora, big deal. I like what's happening here.
You're in over your head. Over there.
I don't think there's much reason to not do this. No. I don't think I like that. Let's just get big boys on board. We're skipping out on the ability to give our units the overwhelm, but I think we have to get dudes on board here. Just slam into this. Don't like the amount of card advantage he's able to generate here. I feel like he's probably just got a handful of barriers, and so let's see what we can do. We can get just actual everything on board here.
Take a stance and hold it.
A chill in the air.
This one, I think I'm just going to Caught in the Cold as River Shaper. And we'll have our Bloodsworn Pledge back up. Technically Caught in the Cold this thing since it can kill one of our units, but like we figure in this combat, he's going to be putting Scales of the Dragon in front of our Enraged Yeti, and then we're just going to Bloodsworn Pledge to make sure it survives. I think this will be okay. I think he's trying to like build up to a riposte or something here, which is fine as long as we're able to like chunk in damage. I feel pretty good about it. This is 8. 5, 3, 8. Let's make sure our seer survives the combat. Now we can caught in the cold, and then we can hook something with the Spirit Walker. I believe we want to be this guy. So if we reassess what's going to happen here, I think we just hook both of his River Shapers with our big boys, and then this will have to block something. It can either get a trade on one of these units we don't care about, or a bounce on Starlit Seer, which I think we're pretty cool with. Oh, no, it's not going to happen. I forgot. I thought we had 2 hooks on his units, but it's not the case. But oh no, this is pretty good. Doesn't matter how many spells you have in your hand if you don't have the mana to play them. Okay.
Protect them.
All right, let's get fully wide here.
A true Freljordian welcome.
And so I feel like there's like a 100% chance he attacks with River Shaper and has a Prismatic Barrier. We're just not going to block this. I don't want to lose any units to this. I mean, technically put Starlit Seer in front of it, but need to see what our bro's going to do here. Okay. Sure.
This would be a good winter.
I feel like actual everything has just gone wrong for our opponent this game. Just not a single thing went right. So I mean, we're gonna slam everything in here. If he has a judgment, then he has a judgment. I don't think I'm willing to play around judgment. I mean, if we want to do like you can attack with these, this is 8. Are we willing to pull back like 1 unit just in case? I don't think so. I think it's just more likely that he has like a single combat. I'm not going to play around a fucking epic to try to get through this one. And so if he has like a block with the Lancer on something big in a single combat, then we still win this way, whereas if we hold a unit back, we don't. Okay, got a barrier lifesteal. Two single combats. Cool. Alrighty, good game, friend. I feel like everything went wrong for him this game. I feel like a lot of the times this should be an extremely bad matchup. We have a lot of these units that, you know, whenever we're slamming out like Omen Hawks and Avarosian Sentries, these are cards that you just do not want to be showing against Fiora. Just giving her pretty free combats. You want her to have to be like battling into Yetis, so that he has to be playing riposts and not playing Prismatic Barriers. And so that weird ass River Shaper draw that dude had feels like we were pretty lucky to have things go that way. That was, you know, I don't want to think that, you know, that matchup was much more than a coin flip. I'd say that he was probably like slightly favored, but we got real lucky with how that game played out. But nonetheless, you know, got this one to 7, turned out pretty good. I like how we, you know, kind of started with this from the start. You know, the problems we assessed, the questions that we had, and the answers we chose to go after. You know, the big thing here was we started with the Tryndamere. This isn't a real build around, but it's just really powerful. These are, in general, extremely good cards. But when you take Tryndamere, you have to know that you're probably not actually going to draft around Tryndameres. He's just way too expensive to have multiple copies of, and then his flip is also extremely expensive. And so, like with Sejuani, where we know she costs 2 less mana, and then her flip costs 2 less mana than that, just not the case with Tryndamere. And so, you have to find a good partner pairing with him. The Maokai on the other side is not it. And we saw this Sejuani, which is a pretty good pickup. We knew that she had the allegiance part in her, and she filled in a lot of the problems that we had with this Tryndamere, right? The Tryndamere has very good early game units. It has some good ways to close out games, just does not have any interaction. And so we were able to pick up the interaction between the Sejuanis, and then we picked up some good combat tricks right from the start. Very good. But then, you still need a deck from that point forward. We did what I do not recommend whatsoever in starting with these tall tales and really kind of push towards the Yetis theme, just because of the strength of Omen Hawk and the strength of picking up these early game plays. Turned out pretty good here. We were able to get rid of them eventually in the trade picks, but again, that is not a strategy I really recommend pursuing. I don't recommend taking these Yeti yearlings for the sole sake of activating tall tales. I don't recommend going after this Yeti's theme. But you gotta kind of pick and choose some spots to where you can get some strength. Omen Hawk is just one of the best cards in the game. And then the ultimate weakness to this deck is when you find yourself on turn 6, and then you have 3 5-drops in your hand, or you have like Sejuani and a 3 and a 4 and a 5, and you can only play one card in a turn. And that's what we were really able to avoid and really to push ourselves away from. If you take a peek again at the beginning of this trial, yes, it has the 2 tall tales in it, which sucks, but we did go out of our way to get a 1-drop, a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and a 2-drop. And so, we knew very specifically that we were probably going to have 3 Sejuanis. We were going to have 1 Tryndamere. We don't need a whole lot of top end, especially once we found the Feel the Rush here at pick 6. And so, the early game is what super, super matters. We can't really be taking all of these Bull Elniks and like Hearthguards if the early game isn't already in place. Very easy to have your curve get out of hand with these Freljord decks. And so, that's why we ended up in Yetis. I don't dislike how we did this, although I made note in the Tryndamere review and made note in the draft. I really don't like the Yearling or the Tall Tales. I think it worked out fine just here. Just don't expect a whole lot of success if you don't know what you're doing and try to mirror this in the future. This is a recipe for failure. So I do like that. But, if we're going to stop and think, how are we going to take advantage of these Yetis? The big problem that you run into with Yetis is actually being able to close out games. You just, throw all of your stats at your opponent's units and they just block it over and over again. And you don't get to deal enough damage, and then, they play the Scourge and kill you. And so the way to deal with those is to find some way to get overwhelmed. Whether or not that is something like Ursine Spirit Walker, more ideally if it's the 7-mana spell that gives all your units +2/+2 and overwhelm. Don't care how you do it, you have to find some way to give all of your Yetis overwhelm and some kind of way to have them trample over your opponent's units. But that is it. I think that really kind of covers everything going on with this deck. Number one, be really mindful of your curve. These Omen Hawks, Avarosian Sentries, Yeti Yearlings, things like Starlit Seers, Icevale Archer. Do go out of your way to get these early game plays in your deck, because the thing that will burn you is if you just, you're on turn 5 holding an Outrider, a Hearthguard, a Spirit Walker, and a Sejuani. You can't play multiple cards in the same turn. It's very easy to fall behind. The second thing to that point, make sure you have some kind of early game combat tricks, be them Brutal Steel, Elixir of Iron, or Troll Chant. Because what you will find is you do kind of get yourself into those curve spots to where, you have a 1 Outrider, you have 1 Sentry, 1 Spirit Walker, and 1 Sejuani. You really want to play a spell in combat, and you need it to be one of these 1-mana spells. If you're, having to make the choice between playing one of those expensive units and Bloodsworn Pledge, then you're doing it wrong. That is the place that you exactly do not want to be in, and that's why we place such a high value on the Brittle Steels, the Elixir of Irons, just to make sure that we had those ways to interact in the mid game with a 1-mana spell. Oh man, I pushed a button. All right, there we are. We're back. But that really is it. Just be mindful of your curve. Think of how you're going to take advantage of your Yetis, and then make sure you have some early game combat tricks in there. And I believe that will do it for us today. No, our weekly chest is back out here, and so all your reward lovers will have a little bit of something to to get you through your day. Let's take a click and see what we find. All the shards. Curious, I want to go take a look. I'm not quite sure how much. I think I don't know how they're Riot plans on doing the champion expansions, if you will, where they're releasing just Aphelios. I think Aphelios probably belongs to Call of the Mountain. Doesn't seem like he belongs in the I don't know, the Azir set. I don't know what that's called. I don't know enough about League of Legends lore to know what Azir falls into, but it looks like the Sand People, right? That's what all those pictures look like, and Azir's the only Sand folk I know of. Is Sivir one? Sivir kind of looks like she hangs out in a desert. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like Aphelios belongs to the next set. It seems like he belongs into Call of the Mountain. But long story short, I was curious to how close to getting a complete set of Call of the Mountain we are. I haven't been playing much Constructed, so I haven't been purchasing wild cards or anything here recently. But where are we at? Collection, Call of the Mountain. We're at 80%. Man, we're even short 2 champions. Life is hard, but we still have all the wild cards and everything. I'm pretty sure we could just go get a full collection if we spent our wild cards. I mean, what do we need? Looks like rares are the tough one. We need like 50, 60. Just call it 70. I think we have that in the wild cards. I don't even know how to find out how many I have. Collection cards. Is it in here somewhere? I don't know. I've lost interest in finding out. But that is going to do it for us today. I hope you all learned how to befriend the Yetis a little bit more. Maybe had an educational moment or two and had a good time while you were at it. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.